Hey guys, Dennis here. We have Alex,
Hey,
and
everybody.
we are late tonight because I was having some technical difficulties again. Hopefully, those are all worked out.
Hopefully. How come we seem to have technical difficulties in today's age?
Right?
How come all these years of doing this, we still have issues? It seems like not every time we go live, but I would say more than not, we have issues.
And it's generally the Sunday night lives. We could go live any other night, do any videos on here, and those go great. But Sunday nights, for some reason, don't seem to like us too
I
well.
don't know why. It is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Oh, so tonight we are going to talk about Jeremy Coots, who is missing from Atchison, Kansas. And he has been missing since February 18th of 1977. And this is kind of strange, but last week's case was Loy Evans. She's missing out of Kansas City, Missouri, and she went missing also in 1977. Um, so Jeremy's case, Dennis, we've talked about Jeremy multiple times about his case. We have looked at lots of evidence. We have looked at anything and everything from basically other YouTubers' videos, other people that's investigated his case. Um, we have looked at stuff that was in the newspapers from back then. I know you have had a few conversations with Jeremy's mother. Um, so at this point, I think we've both discussed that we have potential places of interest that need to be searched. Um, and hopefully, this year we will be able to try to, make some headway on these searches. But, um, I guess let's just start from the beginning with Jeremy's case. Let's fill in everybody. I don't know how many people we have here tonight with us, but also this just goes out to if people watch this later on at a later time. So, um, did you just see that message, Dennis? It was from Tamara.
Okay.
She's having problems with the link, so maybe try resending it to her again. So while Dennis is doing that, I'll start off with Jeremy's story while Dennis is trying to help get camera going on. So, Jeremy Coots was born on October 30th of 1972. This would make him 53 years old. So, at the time of Jeremy, his disappearance, 4 years old. He was 3 foot tall and he was 40 pounds. Now I am reading the notes right now from the Charlie Project. So this is the notes that have been dictated through all the different things. So this is what I am actually reading to everybody right now. So, Jeremy had he was deaf. He had a hearing aids. So the brand of hearing aid he was wearing was a Mako, and it had a serial number of 41076 when he disappeared. He was basically entirely deaf without it. I mean, so he wouldn't have been able to hear anybody hollering for him, people blowing whistles. anything like that. So I guess in the general situation of him going missing and what happened, if he would have, his hearing aid would have fallen out, something would have happened to it, and he was walking around, he would not have been able to hear anybody whatsoever hollering for him. So he is a white Caucasian male. He had brown hair, blue eyes. He did have a scar on his upper left side of his forehead, about 3/4 inches. 3/4 inch scar on his lower jaw. So this is what he had on. He had on a blue coat with patches of blue and purple plaid and a hood tied with an orange string. And to this day, I don't think we've ever had any kind of pictures from his mother or anything that's been released to social media of that particular jacket that he had on. And I don't think anybody else has ever researched it through clothing stores or anything else like that. Have you heard of anything like that, Dennis?
I haven't, no. And even in the book, I don't see a picture that's got that jacket in it.
Okay. So it was a blue coat with patches that probably were sewed on. It could have been the design at the time, but they were blue and purple plaid. It had a hood of some sort, and it was tied with the orange string. He had on one red mitten hanging from his coat sleeve by an elastic band, a blue shirt, light colored pants, and he had square-toed brown cowboy boots with like a bird design logo. Once again, I have never seen anybody try to do any research of kids' cowboy boots at that time, and try to, look for that. I've never seen anything. So that's what he had on. So this is basically going to be the details of his disappearance. This is what I'm reading. It is from the Charlie Project. This is probably dictation of stuff that his said and the babysitter said at this time. So here we go. Jeremy was last seen in the Potato Hill area of South Atchison, Kansas on February 18th, 1977. He was at a babysitter's home, and she allowed him to play outside in the yard with her own 4-year-old son. So, from what I have watched in the past, that Jeremy's mom and this lady were friends. Jeremy's mom had babysitted her child. Sounds like a few times, numerous times. I think they had gone back and forth helping each other out. It says this was the first time the babysitter had let Jeremy out to play alone. So now I've heard stories that Jeremy was outside playing with the babysitter's 4-year-old son, but I'll go ahead and read what is wrote here. It says this was the first time the babysitter had let Jeremy out to play alone. He wandered away walking east and has never been heard from again. A 5-day search of the area turned up no sign of him. Jeremy's babysitter home was about 400 yards from the Missouri River, and the dogs had tracked Jeremy's scent to its banks. Dennis, do we by chance have a picture of a Google Earth picture that shows basically the babysitter's home and the river? Do we have anything like that saved by chance?
We have this.
Dennis is the man. He's got it.
And this, I believe, was the babysitter's home. And speaking with his mom a while back ago, sending her pictures to confirm this, she was able to confirm that.
Okay.
And Can you see the cursor on there from the mouse?
I can. I'm not sure if anybody in the chat and our audience can verify that also. I mean, but I can see it quite fine.
Because from my understanding, the air scent dogs that come out to track him track back this direction over the train tracks into the river, back this way. Now we have a pond over here, and this pond, I believe, is the one that they ended up using dynamite to break the ice on and drug the pond because the neighbors said he saw somebody, Jeremy Size, on the pond dam the day he went missing, but they drugged the pond and didn't find anything. But from what I'm understanding of their search with that is they used dynamite on it, then they used boats to finish breaking up the ice and immediately started dragging it. And my opinion, they didn't give enough time for the water to settle down for anything in the water to settle on the bottom before dragging.
Yeah.
So with the pond being upturned like that, to me, the drag bar would go underneath anything that was in there.
Yeah.
But this up here is the house.
So now that we see the picture where the house is at, so this is where the story goes from here. It says Jeremy's babysitter home was about 400 yards from the Missouri River, and the dogs had tracked Jeremy's scent to its banks. Authorities believe the child fell into the river and drowned. His body has never been recovered, however, in spite of a massive search. At the time of his disappearance, Jeremy lived with his parents in the 200 block of North 11th Street. His family held a memorial service for him 2 weeks after he was last seen. His mother, I want to say Melody.
Melody Hathaway.
Melody Hathaway published a book about her son's disappearance called In Search of Jeremy, a Mother's Story. So I have bought this book. I bought it from his mother through eBay. Dennis also has a copy of it also. So there's, I guess in a way, there is a little bit of conflicting stories with this because according to some of the stuff that I have read and I have watched, it basically states that Jeremy was playing with the babysitter's son. They had evidently been out in the yard and were playing, and they had evidently I don't know if they were walking on the street, where exactly they were going, but evidently the two boys got into an argument. I don't know if they had a little kids fight, whatever, but evidently the babysitter's son had walked back home and told his mom that him and Jeremy had gotten into a fight and that Jeremy walked the other way towards the railroad tracks and the river. So there is a little bit of conflicting stories with this case. I'm not sure why the Charlie Project has it wrote this way. And I'm actually going to go to another one because I want to see. Let's see. Let's go to Namus. Let's see how Namus has his story wrote. So I'm on the Namus. And so on Namus, his case number through Namus is 1217444. That is his case number through Namus. And also, they have his weight as 40 to 60 pounds, whereas the Charlie Project has him as 30 pounds. Okay. So let's see. Let's see if they talk about the scars, they talk about the hearing aid, the model number, they talk about what he had on. Let's see. Do they actually go into the discussion of what happened? And they do not. Unless I am not clicking on the right thing here. They do not. They do not go into his case enough to describe it. Let me try this one. Let's see what this one says. That one doesn't go into. I thought a lot of these did a little more information than that. Let's try missingkids.org. Let's see how much information they go into. They don't go into hardly anything. So, no matter what, the situation from how things sound is that the dogs, and what kind of dogs did they use, Dennis?
They had the air scent canines.
And can you explain to the audience the difference in the dogs that I know when Dan was with us, we had some discussions about the different kinds of dogs. So maybe you can go over this with the audience right now about the different kinds of dogs and how they do what they do. Basically, the different, I don't know. Do you want to call it styles? Air scent dog versus a blank dog.
Right, because they're all completely different. You have your cadaver dogs that are trained to pick up the smell of basically decay from human remains. You've got your bloodhounds, basically, which will track your scent on the ground. Your air scent actually picks up your scent through the air. He's not sniffing just the ground. He's not sniffing for remains. He'll sniff some of your clothing somebody will give him. And as he's going, he's following that scent in the air or whatever direction you went. So when you're walking, like in this area, he's going to have grass and weeds and stuff brushing against him as he goes through. As the breeze blows through, it's blowing that scent, and that's what the air scent dog is picking up.
So I guess in my mind, could there be a false positive? Basically, could the dog hit a false positive if the dogs were around the parents? And of course, we know the parents are around the children. They do the children's laundry. They get the children ready to go to the babysitters or school. So could the dogs have possibly hit a false positive and have been led in the wrong direction because of the parents and the parents being around at any given time during a search?
That has happened in the past. A lot of it comes down to the discipline between the dog handler and the dog. Generally, the dog will be released to go do its thing. If that dog gets around the parent or the parent's been out there after being around the child, in this case, we had the babysitter, and I believe it was her boyfriend or husband and some friends that had already been in these woods searching. So there's a chance they had been around Jeremy that day and his scent attached to them. Now, there were two different canines that went out there. The first one was from Casey Canine. The second one, which was days later, this guy showed up and asked to let his dog search. And this dog went down the same trail, same area, same location. One of these, and I don't know if it was the KCK9 or if it was this individual, one of the dog teams had done searches on 422 previous cases before Jeremy's and had 100% success rate.
Excuse me. Yes, but and this was the I believe the first dog that was brought out, and I'm trying to think, was that gentleman from Florida? I think that's what.
Yeah, the Florida guy was the second one out. KCK9 was the first ones.
Okay. Well, whichever the first dog was, I believe that was the one that had done the 400 and some cases. So,
I also heard that the first dog, and even the second dog was on a leash the entire time. So that can also affect the dog, because even though the handler is trying to keep slack in the leash, any movement down the leash, the dog is going to feel that and is going to respond to it. So there is a chance of false readings in this case, but with the track record like this team has, 422 cases with 100% success rate, you know, I would hate to think that this is the one time that the handler may have, I don't want to say done things wrong, but wasn't consistent with how he handled things. In this one case, he was off and possibly miss it.
Yeah. So I guess with things that you and I had discussed, and you know, I had discussed with Tammy, and we've discussed as a group in the past when Dan was with us. You know, I hate to say this, but the most logical thing sounds like Jeremy really did possibly go to the river. He possibly did go out on the ice. And so just so everybody knows that at this time in the winter of 1977, we had severe freezing, and the river was evidently, I believe, flowing. It was completely jammed up with ice, but it still was barely moving. But it was broken ice. It was like, you know, the cubes, the chunks of ice that are pushing and shoving and moving, but there was still gaps. So I think what a lot of people believed is that Jeremy had probably walked out on the ice, not realizing he was on ice. He wasn't on solid ground, and possibly he stepped into a gap between the ice, fell in, got stuck, fell in, unfortunately went into the water, got trapped underneath the ice. You know, unfortunately, we know what happened then. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, we've had some other theories, and there's been some other stories, some other accusations, things like that. You know, the theories, the rumors, accusations, hearsays. So one was that we have heard is that they thought that there could have been somebody on a train car that at some point I believe a train had come through and had stopped
Yes.
somewhere. And I think they had said that they thought that somebody on a train car could have potentially grabbed him.
And that theory also came from the search teams finding what appeared to be a kid's footprint by the train tracks.
Yes. And then there was the theory that what if the babysitter had something to do with it? Because technically the babysitter's, family, they were the last group of people to see him besides the owner of the gentleman that owned the property that had the pond. And supposedly they had reported seeing a small child potentially out on the dam of their pond. And that was something else I kind of thought of, and I'll wait till Dennis comes back to we go further into that. But I think the story of them basically they used dynamite to break this pond up. So any of us that have ever been around farmland with ponds, we know generally creeks that they do freeze over. So, in my mind, if the river had that much ice built up, that much frozen, material, that this pond had to have been frozen solid. I doubt that a 30 to 40, 50, however many pounds, because there's conflicting numbers now on his weight from the different missing people organizations. I have a hard time believing that the ice would have been remotely thin enough for him to fall in. The shallower the water, the faster it's going to freeze over. So what do you think, Dennis? I mean, we know they blew it up with dynamite, but how? To me, it sounds like it would have been so frozen and thick enough, more than likely, that Jeremy wouldn't have weighed enough. He would not have weighed enough for him to break through and fall in.
And that was one of the things we discussed early on into that theory on the phone one night is, his weight. There's ponds up here in this area that I've gone out on, cut a hole in it, and went ice fishing on in the middle of winter. So with him being so little, it's hard for me to think they had to blow it up with dynamite and there'd be a chance that he's in there. And if he was, they're going to see a hole in the ice where he had gone through. It's going to be miscolored.
Absolutely. It would have been a difference in thickness from freezing over. I mean, I think a little bit of this, and this is my opinion, would be common sense. Using common sense and looking at some of these different things that were witnessed and thinking, no, I mean, let's be honest, I remember in high school, and I had a friend, and we had a big old 4-wheel drive old Ford truck on tractor tires. And I remember going out on the pond in the middle of wintertime and doing donuts. And this was this would have been 89 or 1990 at this time. So, I think back to the winter time, and let's be honest, the winters back in the 70s were way colder, way harsher than what we have now. The whole global warming thing, I mean, if you want to look at it at a point, I think there is a little truth to it. But I have a hard time thinking that if it was so thick and they had to use dynamite to blow it up, I cannot see a 30 to 40-pound child falling through it. I would think there would have been some kind of evidence of a hole, which would have gave them a reason that, hey, we need to blow this up. And then this is where, when you come into it and how you seen it, how what they did, the dictation of the event place when they did that, that's where you had your thoughts and thought, well, if everything was turbulent and they are trying to drag the bottom and everything is turbulent and floating around, they probably wouldn't catch anything at all. And a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. I think Dennis is oh, nope, now you're not frozen. I think a terrible thought, and it really is a terrible thought to think this, but what if he truly was in there and they blew the ice up? Could there be the possibility that it would have disintegrated, Jeremy? But I think there would have been something that they would have seen and said, oh, wait a minute. Oh, this is terrible. He was in here.
Right. There
don't
would
want
at
to go
least
into any more
be
graphic. Yeah. So, I'm curious, Mac, Mac, what do you about this? Because, there's so many
You're freezing
stories
up now.
Children. I'm freezing up.
Yeah, you keep freezing up, and your audio gets glitchy.
Huh. I have no idea. I've got all my bars, and I'm about 10 feet from the Wi-Fi box, though.
And I've got a picture in her book, and it's hard to see there, but this is a picture of them exploding the pond, and it's not a big explosion. I mean, it's not what you would think when you think a piece of dynamite out there. I mean, it's pretty good explosion, but not enough that it would like disintegrate something.
So maybe how they should have interpreted. Maybe they just used some of the ice or do something. I mean, I personally think, just like you and I have both discussed, I think that pond needs to be searched again. I really think it needs to be gone over. But we need to pond and see if anything has happened all these years. Uh-oh. We both just cycled and disappeared. Did you see that too?
No. I didn't see that over here.
Yeah, on my side, we both appeared in like
you got really
circling in the center where our picture. Yeah, something must be going on. I don't think we're having very good signal at all. As Alex is Alex. I'm gonna take a picture of it if it does that again, because that's crazy. I mean, I have full bars. Everything seems to be working fine. So I don't know. I mean, at this point, what would you think we should do? Would this be, let's try to get permission, let's talk to the owners, let's find out the history. Are they the same owners from when Jeremy went missing? Has the house been sold? Are we going to have to go through, I hate to say this, but the storytelling side and explain everything that happened? Let them know that, hey, we would like to, search your pond. This is potentially, this is what did happen back in 1977, and we would like to do it again. But be, do you think we would be able to see with radar, or
We
how do
would
you think we should?
we would need most likely a cadaver dog on that one. Since 1977, the bottom of that pond has gone through so many changes, silt coming in. So anything that's in there is going to be buried, and sonar's not going to pick it up. But cadaver dog would still pick up the scent out there on scene. Now, the dogs did pick up Jeremy's scent from under the water or under the ice, and they did see some kids' footprints on the pond dam, which is why they moved forward with going ahead and blowing the pond and searching it. Because this is where the property owner there reported seeing what he thought was Jeremy on the pond dam that morning. So you do have the dogs picking his scent up there coming from under the ice, and the footprints there. It definitely needs to be searched. I mean, I feel that they drugged that pond way too early without letting things settle down, and very likely missed it. The drag bars, it's normally, just to give a rough explanation, is normally a long bar. Sometimes they're 4 to 6 feet. They can go, 6 or 10, 15, 20 feet long. And they're drugged behind the boat by a chain or even a cable. And there are big hooks attached to the bar every so often that will catch anything on the bottom. So having all of that weight pulling across, that's going to stay on the bottom of that pond. So with everything still in an uproar in that water and floating about, your chain or your cable is going to push stuff to the sides out of the way, and your drag bar comes right underneath it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very successful tool to use. I mean, you don't see them used often today just because they are, not to get graphic, but it is graphic in nature to use one of those.
Yeah.
But back in the day, that was their go-to, and it was very, very successful. But you're counting on whatever you're looking for being on the bottom of that body of water. And in this case, there was not enough time, in my opinion, for things to settle back down.
Yeah.
The property owner, I don't know if it's the same man or if it's a relative of his, but it's the same family that owns that property.
Okay.
And Melody does know them and could help get us permission to get on there to do that search.
I'm just curious. I don't know if in the book it says, I just dropped my phone again. I don't know if in the book it says anything, but do you remember talking to his mother, and she basically said what time this happened? What time was what time was Jeremy? If the babysitter, whether Jeremy was let out by himself or Jeremy was outside with the babysitter's 4-year-old son also. I have a hard time too with, I know that was a different day and age, but I still have a hard time believing that they just let a 4-year-old child or 2 4-year-old children.
2:15 p.m.
2:15. So, but you said that the people that had the pond said that he didn't you say he stated he saw him that morning?
I believe that's what she had told me. Earlier that day. So it wasn't specifically morning, but earlier that day.
Okay. I've never, to this day, I've never seen any kind of anything from the babysitter side. I've never seen, note dictation from her stating what happened. It's always been stuff that, probably came from Jeremy's mom and dad. Because if I remember right, didn't the babysitter call Jeremy's dad first? And then Jeremy's dad called Jeremy's mother and said that, hey, he's missing. She was at work trying to get some paperwork done or something, and she wanted to leave, and he said, no, just finish up, because by the time you get done with work, I'll be at home with Jeremy when you get home. And I think she did leave work, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So I just was curious on the time frame, because
the babysitter put the call out on a CB radio.
Yes.
And his dad called the babysitter, and she told him that Jeremy had wandered off and they were all out looking for him, not to worry about it, to go ahead and stay at work and we'll find him soon. And his dad said, no, I'm on my way. He left work and went straight out. And then they ended up calling Melody after the dad got there and wasn't able to find him, told her what was going on. And Melody was 9 months pregnant at the time. So they're all being very careful in what they're saying and how they're saying it to her, so not to cause any complications there.
Yeah.
And she ended up leaving at work early and going out there.
So if we look at the pond, then cadaver dog in the water, possible diver. Do you think if we took any kind of water samples, do you still think there would be any kind of signs of decomposition after all these years? Or I would.
In the pond, it's possible because it is a small contained body of water. Let me pull this up again.
But did that property flood in the flood of 92, 93?
That I am not sure.
Because I honestly don't remember if that flooded. I mean, I know it flooded way down here. But I would think if it flooded, then it probably had wiped out.
Now, this side is a big hill going from the house down to the river. And the other side sets a lot lower than this side, so the water would have went to the opposite side of the river.
Okay.
In this pond, this is what the pond looks like as of January, or where's the date? September 28th to 24, this is what the pond looks like.
Unfortunately, we can't. The only way we can go back is through historical imaging because we can't go far enough back with Google Earth. It won't allow us to go back to 85, 87,
Yeah,
maybe
85.
80, and you probably can't even barely see it back in 85.
And this is 91.
Go, hey, can you go up to the house? That's not the house. There it is. Nope. Go back up. Keep going up. Is that the house right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 2003, 2004. That is the one thing that gets frustrating with historical is how it really distorts it.
Well, Google Earth's historical stuff is terrible. But if you go back to the other ones where you see a lot of the plane images that they were taken with the planes, because you remember on Randy Leach's case, we looked at one of the historical imaging sites, and that property we went all the way back to, was it the 30s? One of them we were looking at, and the pictures were from the 30s. And they were, those pictures were, I would say, those pictures look something like the picture previous. Not as nice and clear, but I don't know. That house there to me just looks too new to have been the house in 77. I mean, with the circle driveway and all that, which, I mean, I 100% can be wrong, but
in 97, you can see it had the circle there. 91, you could see it, but it wasn't as nice as it is today.
Yeah, it might have just been gravel. Something like gravel.
Yeah, it looks like it's still gravel.
Or chip and seal, maybe, but now it's paved, right? Now it's asphalt or concrete.
This image here is. Well, let me get out of this and
That's
go back.
2019.
There's today. Yeah, today that looks paved.
Yeah, that definitely looks like concrete. Well, I think, through our discussions with the rest of the group, I don't think we would ever find any kind of remains in the river. Right. I don't really, honestly, without, not knowing that it wasn't him in a vehicle or something like that. If that's truly what happened to him and he unfortunately went out on the ice, got caught up, fell through, and that's, that I kind of know we've discussed this before is if he would have been out on the ice and started walking, got confused, I know at one point they brought in the National Guard. Didn't they bring in like 400 people for the National Guard?
Yeah, the governor called them in.
I think we had brought this up too, is why weren't they flying a helicopter or a plane up and down the river on the ice, thinking whether or not the ice was completely solid or not, or it was moving and breaking up and there was gaps in between the ice, stuff like that. I mean,
They did take helicopters and an airplane out while the main search was going on. There was like 3 to 4 thousand volunteers showed up searching for him. The ice, there was an ice jam upriver that had broken loose and was coming through at the time that he went missing. So there's like 6, 8, 10, 12 feet in diameter ice chunks coming down. So law enforcement believes he jumped out on a big piece of ice and started jumping from iceberg to iceberg. In their words, like he felt he was a superhero and then he slid off into the river. But other than the 2 air scent dogs leading to the river, and again, they're on leashes, so there is the possibility that it was contaminated basically. But that's the only thing they have really that leads them to the river. When you have this with the pond as well, the kid's footprints, his scent up there too, to me, that is just as much evidence he could be in the pond as what they have going into the river. And actually more, because at the pond, the dog wasn't on a leash and was still picking that up. But again, you also got family there. Jeremy's dad was with both sets of search dogs when they went out. So he obviously still has Jeremy scent on him.
yeah.
So that could be another thing at play here. Most of the time with an air scent search dog, they don't want any members of the family and nobody that's been around the missing person to accompany them, because number one, it's an automatic distraction to the canine, but you also had that scent on you, so that canine's going to be drawn to you and not the actual missing person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't fault Jeremy's dad, because if that was my son, you're not going to stop me from being there either.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, we can't call these accurate searches simply because of that. And I hate saying it that way, but they weren't done in a correct fashion. They didn't follow protocol and let the door open to too many avenues that could have led them astray.
Yeah. So where do you think moving forward with us, where do you think we should start? What is your thoughts on where we should start with the first location? What do you think?
I think the pond should probably be first. Do a thorough search on that. We could do water samples. We can bring in a diver, hopefully a cadaver dog, and see what we can find there. Because at this point, he's either in the river or he's not. And the only way we're going to know is to clear all of the other areas first. Because, like you said, this little boy going in the river, we're not going to find anything at this point.
Yeah.
So I think that pond and the surrounding ponds should be first on the list.
Yeah, I just don't know, with as many times as we've had floods, we've had high water, the amount of debris that comes down the river, a lot is, I'm sure, underwater is just traumatic, of moving trees and pushing stuff. And you know, I bet it's just so turbulent that, you know, even if he was caught up and his remains were still there in something, I just don't know. I just don't think it would be there. I mean, I really think starting off with the pond and then, you know, looking at other things that you and I have discussed, you know, moving in with that and trying to look. Hey, oh my word. Sorry, I have a guest. Come here. Do you like to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Yes.
I like that.
Forever go down in history. We hugs.
Put this on the back.
I can't put this on your. Okay, turn around. Turn around. Sorry, everybody. I have a minute here. I have to help him.
So, guys, yeah, I think that pond should be our starting point, and then branch out from the house he went missing. If the pond is cleared, you know, start with a small radius around the house, clear that area, step it out further. Oh, I love that.
Well, you know, he's 4. He's the same age as Jeremy.
Oh, man.
All right, buddy. Shut the door behind you, okay?
Okay.
Later, chicken man.
And it's interesting you bring that part up because we try to treat all of our cases the same regardless of who they are, what's going on. But we're human too, and we all have that one case that seems to hit us a little bit harder than it does everybody else. And you know, Jeremy's case has really got a hold of you.
It has. I got choked up really bad one night because I was thinking of him. You know, I was thinking of him and his age, and you know, I was thinking to myself, I'm thinking, you know, he's 4. And last year when we talked about this, you know, I'm thinking, oh my word, Bo's almost his age. Well, now he's 4. And then I don't know. I think of what he does, and I think how he goes out, and I don't let them out of my sight. When we go outside and we do things, they are within eyesight at any given time. If not, they were within a few feet of me. And that's because of what we do. And that's why I look at them that way and I treat them that way and I keep an eye on them. But, you know, thinking back to this, and I just, you know, like I said, there's a conflicting story here, whether or not he was playing with the babysitter's 4-year-old and she let him outside. You know, I don't know. We have to dig deeper. How many accounts of I guess we need to go back and see what Jeremy's mom says in some of her interviews. 100%. Did Jeremy go outside with the babysitter's 4-year-old son also, or did Jeremy go out by himself and the babysitter let him out? That goes back to the simple thing. Was there a chain link fence in their yard? Because I don't care however you say it, and I'm not trying to be ugly or mean. I'm not trying to judge anybody, but why would you let a 4-year-old child go out in the yard all by themselves? I mean, realistically, why would you do that?
Hello?
So I just would have a hard time.
Papa,
Yes, dear.
can I come see?
I'm on the show, honey. You want a hug? Okay, come get a hug. Sorry, I got another grandchild that wants a hug. Love you.
Love you, Papa.
My dear. So, was there a chain link fence around the yard at that time? Was there a privacy fence in the backyard? I mean, why in the world, if I was watching somebody else's child, and I'm, like I said, I'm not trying to be judgmental. We all know who makes the judgment. But why in the world, if you were watching somebody else's child, would you just let them go outside in the backyard and not have 100% of your attention on them at every second that they were in your care? And that's
one of them being deaf too. I mean,
absolutely, because I mean that's like so many people have said. If his hearing aids would have fell out of his ears, if he was wrestling around and playing with her son and they got into a fight and they fell out, well, of course, he's not going to hear nobody hollering for him. I mean, by any means. I mean, they could scream at the top of their lungs, be doing whistles. He's not going to hear any of it.
Now, when I talked to his mom, he's considered deaf. He could hear, I think it's 70 decibels, which he would be able to hear a train whistle if he's close to it. And if you were in front of him talking, you would have to like really scream in order for him to hear you without that. So if he's at any distance at all, even if you scream, he's not going to hear you.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I want to watch some more interviews with his mother. And there, if you go, on YouTube, there is there's an interview with a lady. I want to say she's from one of the news stations, but she did an interview. It's broken up into a bunch of little sections. But I want to try to find multiple accounts of someone describing exactly what happened. And I want to see where it shows. Was he by himself? Did the babysitter let him out by himself? Or was he out in the yard with the babysitter's son? Because like I said, there's already two different versions, and we just need to see how many versions of each one, or how many accounts of each one there really is, to find out what the truth is, And I would believe 100% that his mother's an account of it would be the truth. And I believe that she says that Jeremy was out in the yard playing with the babysitter's son.
Yeah.
They had wandered off. They had gotten into a little fight, a little scuffle. The babysitter's son went back home, and Jeremy had started walking off and either wasn't listening or he had walked off after they got into a fight. So I don't know, the time period between the fight, if that's truly what happened. Did the babysitter's son immediately come back and go to his mother and say that he got into a fight with Jeremy? I don't know. So that's just something we've got to dig into a little deeper to find out those facts for us, and of course to present to you all that follow the story of Jeremy Coots. And let's see where it goes. Let's see what comes of it. So So, does anybody watching, does anybody have any questions, any thoughts? I mean, what do you guys think? Let's hear it. I mean, I think I did see Joanne wrote The Pond, definitely. But, let's hear your guys' thoughts on this. What do you think? I mean, and then, Dennis, can you show the book again for the audience to see? So, there you go.
Called In Search of Jeremy, A Mother's Story. And talking with her, there we go. Talking with her about the book, I have had some people contact me and question, why would somebody do this? They started making accusations that, she's trying to make money, this kind of stuff. Talking to his mom multiple times, just the raw emotion after all of these years, I don't believe for a minute that's what she's done. She has told me the reason she wrote this book is she wanted Jeremy's memory. She wanted Jeremy to continue to mean something to other people. People were, even strangers were attached to Jeremy just in passing. He was that kind of kid. And she wanted people to remember Jeremy, and that's why she wrote the book.
Yeah.
I have to finish it. I have to admit, I haven't fully finished reading it. I've read a lot of it. It is very easy to read. It's very emotional. I mean, you get all of her emotions coming through this. And I highly recommend going to Amazon and ordering that book.
Yeah, I think you got yours from Amazon, and then I got mine off of eBay because I think we had seen something about the book, and I looked on eBay and I found it, and then I realized that it was actually Jeremy's mother. So I went ahead and bought the book. I messaged her and I told her who I was and that, I was with Dennis and part of Muddy Waters. And, we had been looking at Jeremy's case and, oh, geez, I think I ordered it and I didn't see anything for like 2 weeks. And I thought, well, heck, did I get scammed here by somebody that's pretending to be something? And finally, she messaged on eBay and was very apologetic. And she wrote us a nice little note inside the copy that I have, And I think she felt really nice after Dennis had talked to her that, people still cared about Jeremy and people still were, looking into his case. And so, yeah, hopefully this year, we can we can get out there and, try to make some progress on his case. So
she is a very nice, sweet person. And I mean, all of these years, her son was 4 years old when he went missing in 1977. Here we are, 48 years later, and she still has no answers. I don't know what I would do in that situation, to be honest. It just a heartbreaking situation there.
Well, I mean, it would be. I mean, we have someone in our audience with us that they've been through that. They have, connections to someone that's missing. We're very blessed to have her with us all the time, and it's I'm sure the turmoil and, I had a second cousin. One of my cousin's daughters went missing. And this was what, 2 years ago, Dennis? I think she went missing, and they found her, and she was deceased in a motel room, and she had overdosed on fentanyl. So yeah, it does happen. I mean, these are tragic things, and granted, I was not close to my second cousin. My cousin, her mother, has been through a lot of tragic stuff in her own life, dealing with those type of issues, and it's what I call the term the cycle of life that's never unbroken. You cannot get away from that cycle of life, that circle of life, and you end up in the same scenario, the same group of people that lead to the same tragic type of story ending. And by all means, I'm not saying everybody's story is that way. It's just, I think we all know probably somebody, some way, that has had somebody that was missing. The tragic side of, someone dying and passing away, and, whether they were found, they weren't found, the whole thing of it. So it would be tough. Very, very, very tough, and, Jeremy's mom has been a real trooper, writing the book, talking about things. So, I hope, that we can kind of start working on his case and, give her some kind of hope. I haven't seen anything from anybody else. Anybody else is working on his case.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean by any means that there isn't, but I haven't seen. I searched today on Jeremy's name just on YouTube of current stuff, and the only current stuff is the stuff that we have done that has been replayed, over time, whether it was the original showing of the show, the original episode that we did, or a replay. So, and let's take a second to talk about something.
Uh-oh.
Dennis, why don't you explain to people that when we are caught up and we are busy with other things, that there is times where you replay episodes.
Yes.
And sometimes when you replay these episodes, I think a lot of people realize that they're watching a rerun, a replay of a show, but then there might be somebody that doesn't pay attention to the heading of the show when it says a replay, rebroadcast, and I'll let you take it over from here, Dennis. I'll let you take 5 minutes to try to help explain and just make sure people understand, hey, this is please pay attention. So
see, and we do that. We do replay some episodes that we've done in the past. Recently, we've done that quite a bit. And it's for two reasons. Number one, we're caught up in other stuff. Right now, Loy Evitz is a prime example. We have a lot that we're looking at and working on in this particular case, and still trying to maintain all of the other cases as well. So it's easier just to replay something from the past. So you're getting content, but the content we're putting out is stuff to keep these cases fresh in everybody's mind. In the past, it's been said you do that so you make money. I have shared our screen showing we average $113 a year on YouTube. So definitely not it. But anytime that we do replay a video like that, I always put replay at the first word in the title. Now, when I replay these, sometimes if it's through StreamYard, it will show up on YouTube like it's live. It'll say live up in the corner and everything, but it's not actually live. It's a replay that's streaming from StreamYard to YouTube. So I could understand somebody kind of getting confused with that, because I've got confused with that in the past myself. But the title always says replay on it. And so I've had, and this has happened more than once. Example, the last summer wells when I done, I had somebody comment and tell me basically I'm putting out false information because she's been missing a lot longer than what I said in that video. So I let that person know this is a replay from all the way back then. It was one of the earliest summer wells videos we done. She had been missing less than a year. I've had them contact me and tell me that, you know, not this person, but you're spreading false information. You're putting this out there. You're lying to get attention. And I've had to tell them that's a replay of that video. If you read the title of it, it says replay. So you're hearing what we played back then. I did not go in and edit anything with that. And some people understand it. Some just get completely hateful. And I tell them, look, if you don't want to watch your videos, don't watch your videos. Nobody's forcing you to do it. But if you're going to continue to criticize me, at least be smart enough to read the title and see what you're actually looking at, and not just jump into a conclusion where you're obviously wrong. So
Yeah.
it's been some fun conversations with that. But anytime you see replay in the title, that video is a replay from, I mean, it could be at this point almost 5 years. February 7th is 5 years we've been doing this. So there might be a replay of a video from 5 years ago that pops up, but it will say replay in the video description. I mean, some people, I think, and not all of them, but there are some people I feel that follows this whole community just to look for something to nitpick on, something to complain about, and cause drama.
Yeah.
And this ain't the community for that. You know, I've said it before. If you want drama, there's plenty of other genres out there that you can find more than enough drama in. Let's keep the drama away from the families who's missing a loved one that we're trying to help. You know, these families are going through enough how it is. And I'm sure Joanne could be one of the first to say that. They don't need that excess drama. And
Yeah.
to say that we're only doing this for money, no, your drama is for attention, pure and simple. We don't do this for attention on us. We don't matter. What matters is the missing people and their families. That's why we do this.
Yeah.
We're just a tool here that we're very thankful to have the ability to be able to go out and help these families. That's all we are. It's nothing special. We just happen to be in a position that we can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of, unfortunately, there is a lot of other YouTubers that with their own drama, they're still making buku bucks off of drama.
Right?
You know, and we can't make any money just being honest and trying to help people. I mean, you know, there is no, you know, if like we said, if anybody ever wants to question anything about Muddy Waters and, you know, what kind of funds Oh, my battery light already came on my laptop. Holy moly. That's crazy. I think my battery is not lasting very long anymore. But yeah, we sincerely being upfront, we unfortunately just, that we just don't make any money off YouTube.
Okay, here we
Everything.
go. I'll actually show this so people hopefully can see. Hopefully it shows up.
Pull it back. There you go.
So what this is saying is February 21 to 25, we got paid $135 from YouTube. August 21st to 25, this is the first year that we got paid twice from YouTube. It was $118. So about just under $250 for the year. From August 1st to 25 to January 17 of 26, there is 6307 on there, and you have to hit $100 before they pay out. So I don't mind showing this stuff because from the beginning, day one, we have said we wanted to be transparent. We don't want people to accuse us that we're about the money when we can simply show you the screen to show we're not making money.
Yeah. We can't even go out to eat and have a team meeting on Taco Tuesday.
Right.
Let's be honest.
And we got paid twice in 2025. And that didn't even cover how much was spent with StreamYard just to be able to do our live feeds and videos. I mean, we paid more than that just for this.
Yeah.
So when you add in gear, equipment, we did several searches last year. We're not making money.
No, it cost us money. So it definitely cost us money to search all that. So,
And, almost 5 years in, I have never come on here and gave a number on how many missing persons cases we have had a hand in helping to bring home. And, I'm going to say this. This has to do with either our efforts, it has to do with us talking with law enforcement, getting them on a location, us talking to another team and them stepping in and searching a location because they're in that area a lot quicker than what we can make it there. So they've searched the area for us and found the missing person. We have had a hand in helping to bring home over 3,000 people in under 5 years. Now, some people are going to say, no, these other teams only had this many. They focus on vehicles and water is what the other teams focus on. We take any case, including your runaways, all of that stuff, your ground searches, and we have had a hand in helping bring home over 3,000 people in under 5 years. I don't say that arrogantly. I do say it with pride because I am very proud of our team and the work that our team members put into this.
Yeah.
And, maybe we should have been like some of the other teams. And when we help bring somebody home, blow up YouTube and social media with 20 videos about the very same thing. But to me, every time you do that, you're putting that family through more suffering on top of what they just went through. But we helped bring home over 300 people in less than 5 years. And I'm very proud of that. I mean, this is the first time in just under 5 years we ever said a number publicly. But I'm proud of the work that Alex and Tammy and Megan and Chrissy and Tamara and Jeff. Dan when he was with the team, Chris when he was with the team. I am very proud of the work our team has put in. And the results has been bringing home over 3,000 people.
Yeah.
This means over the course of the next 5 years, we now have a goal to see if we could double that number in 5 years. And it's not a goal that is a look at what we did, but it's a look at what we were able to do. And a lot of it has to do with the help of the people who watch our videos and have conversations with us or reach out to us with information, because it's not just Muddy Waters Search and Recovery that helped bring home over 3,000 people. This is the whole community here. Everybody here had a hand in that. Just the conversations is so useful and helpful with this. I don't know how many times we have shared a missing persons flyer that turns out it was a runaway, and somebody sees that flyer and recognizes that person and gets a hold of law enforcement, and it gets that missing kid home. We've had times that they've left multiple times, and it turns out that there was abuse happening in the home they were trying to get away from. And I spoke with law enforcement about it, explained the situation. They done an investigation. The people doing the abuse are in prison today. This individual is married, has a good job, bought a house, they have a kid, and their life has literally turned around for the better from all of this. So this goes beyond just finding the missing people. I mean, there's life-changing moments that take place, many of which we would never speak about publicly. But there's been times that I was ready to throw in the towel with Muddy Waters. We have our constant group of people that watches our channel that jumps in the conversations, but to not get any more numbers than what we've gotten in 5 years, when you look at everybody else, there's been times I was ready to throw the towel in and be done, but then you start looking at everything we've been able to accomplish, and at that point nothing else mattered but bringing that person home, getting that family their answers. And just the family members that we talked to after helping. Cody Sinicero's case is a prime example. I still contact the family now and then just to check in with them. But I don't know, when you talk to the family after their loved one's been found and they have answers, and in Cody's, I don't believe they have the truth, but they were able to get their son back, lay him to rest properly. But just the change you hear in their voice, the light in their eyes, that makes it worth doing this, bringing the missing person home and helping the families.
Yeah. I just noticed that Bo, my grandson, his mom, they must have been downstairs watching us on the big TV, because she wrote, that was a cute chicken. that's Bo's mother.
And I didn't have the heart to say it, but Megan and them were in there eating chicken for supper.
Oh, that was a good one. Well,
And
you
Max
know,
said this is the only group I know that includes the audience's opinions. That's because you guys are as big a part of this as we are. And we are a very small group of people. We don't have all the answers, we don't have all the knowledge. And that's where all of you really come into play, is where we may not have strength in a certain area, you may. So having these discussions with you strengthens us and makes us better. And I just enjoy talking with y'all, to
yeah,
be honest.
yeah. We like Dennis said, we are a small group. Um, this is not our full-time jobs. Um, Everybody, this is what we do in our spare time, which unfortunately does, uh, it is a part of each and one of, Dennis and I's day every day. Because whether we're working on stuff or we're listening to stuff, going over, and believe it or not, a lot of cases when we do research for them, we are also watching other people's videos and looking at what they've done, because in a way we can check what we have done. We can look at the evidence we have come up with. We can look at a rumor, a theory, an accusation, a hearsay. We can look at these things, and then we can say, well, yeah, we've seen this. We've seen this scenario before. We've heard this before with this case. And then we can start looking at things and saying, okay, well, this does make a lot more sense. This is more factual than just like made up, hogwash. So, for the most part, going over lots of stuff, there's so much when it comes to cases and information to read about it, watch it, listen to it while you work on something. And that's what I do a lot of times. A lot of times I listen to podcasts, I listen to videos, because I am studying, I am trying to learn, I'm trying to, look at what we know and look at what somebody else knows and make heads or tails of it. So, a lot of times that is what we do. So, um, sorry, I just had a text come through.
So at the end of the day, I guess what we could say is Muddy Water Search and Recovery isn't going anywhere. We're going to keep doing everything we can to help keep bringing missing people home.
Yeah. And we could use a like and a share, a thumbs up. So, and we are very blessed for those of you that are here all the time with us. You guys are here on Sundays. You guys are here like family, and that's the way we look at you all. So just know that we do appreciate. You guys do mean the world to us. Like right now, it says there's 7 people watching us right now. And you know what? That's what it was last week, was 7.
Yeah.
And I think the week before last, it was 6 or 7. There was quite a few times last year we were 22, 25, 28 people watching. I don't know. I don't know what's happened. I don't know where the people went, you know.
Yeah,
And I know
early on, we would have 6, 7, 8,000 views on our live feeds and videos and stuff. And now we've got some we're getting 4 or 5, some we're getting 50-ish. The last live feed was like 130. That was one of our highest numbers we've had in a long time.
it's just, you know, where I know from my personal experience, there is channels that I watch that's it's non-missing people stuff. It is other kinds of genre type stuff, and I will watch it day in, you know, week, you know, every week I'll watch it, and then all of a sudden it doesn't pop up, and then in my mind I think, okay, well they didn't do a video. And I've had numerous ones where it'll go 2 or 3 weeks and there's no content. And then I will think, you know, I'm going to go look at their page. And then for some reason, I'm not getting any of their videos. And it's like, why? Why all of a sudden? Because I am subscribed. I click the all icon for all videos. Why all of a sudden does this happen? And I'm not getting anything. You know, why does this happen? So, you know, I think we are at 2,900 and what are we? 2,983? 81. We have been stuck on this number, give or take, what? Let's just say 10 subscribers. What? A year and a half now?
Right.
I mean, I don't get it. I don't get why we can't seem to gain. And Dennis's TikTok channel grows like a springtime weed. Mine, not so much. I mean, mine doesn't. I might get 2 or 3 new people a week. Dennis's has grown a lot. You know, and we can't even get people from the TikTok channel to come over to the YouTube channel and make any significant difference in our numbers. So, I don't know. I really don't know why things haven't positively changed for the better. I mean, I'm not saying things are not good for us. We, you know, I think whether we have 2,980 subscribers or 290,000, we're still going to do what we're doing and still try to, you know, help families, spread awareness, do everything that we can. Maybe someday we will become more tech savvy and learn how to put some really cool videos together. And as of right now, we do the best with what we know how to do. So, you know, we just have to, you know, learn, and hopefully one of these days we'll be able to have some cooler content, if you want to say that word. As you all know, I went to hillbilly silo tech, and my grammar is not that great. Went to Baser, Linwood. As for Jeremy Coots, that was our little update as to what's going on. So please look forward, you know, to when the weather gets better, because it's brutally cold here again, you know, up here in the northwest area of Missouri, and Dennis is over in the northeast area of Kansas. But yeah, it's been pretty cold here again the last couple days. The middle of the week, it was warm and a mud hole. That because of the rain we had the week before last. So let's jump back into the Loy Evans case for a few minutes. Give you guys an update. Dennis and I have been hitting the research. We've been looking into some things, and we've had some really good discussions with the group on a few topics in the Loy Evans case. And when is our schedule for the next episode on Loy's case? When did you say we're going to do it?
That'll be Sunday, February 1st, so 2 weeks from tonight.
So we're trying really hard to we have some connections that we are going to try to make happen, and hopefully they will. And Dennis and I have been running some theories in our heads, and we are going to see if these connections will talk to us and give us one way or another some possible insight on what we are thinking of. So I have a low battery warning again, and I do not have my charger for my laptop. I kind of left it somewhere, so hopefully it'll last another 15 minutes. Because since we're back on StreamYard, it's a roll of the dice if we're going to make it to 2 hours and 1 minute.
Right.
So like I said, hopefully we can have you guys a nice episode with some updates on the Loy Evans case with what we've been discussing and working on. I think we're going to bring some stuff to the table that if you guys have done any research into her case, if you really paid attention to our last episode, we're going to bring up some stuff that nobody's heard of. So we'll see where this goes. And we would like to make these connections with a couple people and discuss this with these people and get their thoughts on it. So Mac, I normally have my laptop charger plugged in and running the entire time of the show. But unfortunately, I do not have it with me. I left it somewhere, so I have to go get it. And when we started, I was at 100%, and I am down to, let's see, what am I at right now? I'm at 9%, so hopefully I can make it before the timer runs out. So,
so in case it does, next Sunday night we'll be jumping back in on the Mark Fullerton case. We've had a lot of people reach out and ask if we could cover that one again soon. So Mark Fullerton's will be next Sunday night. Then Loy Evans will be the Sunday night after that.
Are we going to do a dowsing reading on Mark's case next week? Did we talk with Tamara about that?
Not yet.
Okay.
I think it would be a really good idea to do that. So hopefully she'll be able to do that. She messaged earlier. All of her passwords everything logged out for her. And she is trying to get logged back into everything to join us tonight. and she's having to change a bunch of passwords and stuff, so she wasn't able to make it tonight. But it's funny, I've been trying to look stuff up and do different things during this, and I've had to log into everything again as well. So that is crazy. I've got all of my stuff, all my passwords saved on my phone and stuff, but wasn't enough. Had to log back in again. And Alex looks like it's loading. Wonder if his battery did die. But with Loya, we are looking at some locations already we feel will need to be searched. And the conversation coming up in 2 weeks, I think, may lead to a couple more locations. He's completely gone now. But we're not scheduling any searches until spring, just because the way the weather's back and forth and everything. So this spring, we've got right now around 80 different locations to search this year. And we've got at least double that number that we're working on to get permission, to get lined up. So this is going to be a busy year. So this coming Sunday night, Mark Fullerton. The Sunday night after that, Roy Edits. Now in February, I am going to start the Tuesday night live feeds again. This will be maybe a 15 to 30 minute live feed Tuesday nights, where we will go over all of the cases where the missing person has been found, recap the new cases that have come in from the following week, go over any updates, and then have just a Q&A basic conversation after that. So that will take place on Tuesday nights. So Sunday nights can be more case focused when it comes with what we're covering. And also, don't forget February 19th, 20th, and 21, we will be at the Western Farm Show. Let me pull this up. If you're in the Kansas City area on these days, please come by and see us. We will be on the second floor, where all the other vendors similar to us are. There is something there for everybody. I promise you, you will enjoy it and have fun. westernfarmshow.com. You can find your tickets there. And don't miss out. I mean, it was such a blast. We have Byron McDonald will be joining us one day this weekend. So definitely come by, say hi. We are getting closer to the 2 hours. StreamYard, as Alex was saying, a lot of times will kick us off at 2 hours, sometimes 2 hours and 15 minutes. Middle and South Georgia got snow this morning. I didn't get any. We got a dusting, I guess it would be Friday night, and they were saying we could get up to like 4 inches of snow or something. Thankfully, it was just a dusting. I'm ready for spring at this point. So, guys, I am going to go ahead and get off of here, call it a night, finish up some stuff here. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. We'll make sure Alex has his laptop charged for the next live feed. And hopefully next week, Tamara will be able to join us. I'm going to talk to her about doing a possible dowsing episode on Mark Fullerton's case. So we'll keep you guys updated. You guys stay safe. We will see you guys down the road.